Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking an unboxing first impressions look at the Zepp E Circle. This is a premium smartwatch that has a sleek design that is very modern, minimalistic, and the company Zepp is actually the same folks that make the popular Amazfit smartwatches, including the Amazfit GTR 2 as well as the GTS 2 that we all checked out a while back. And they're using the newer Zepp brand to distinguish some of their smartwatches that have more of a design, fashion-focused appeal. E-Series has both a square and a circular version, which is similar to the aforementioned GTS2 and the GTR2, except having some more premium materials in the construction. They're made out of stainless steel compared to plastic and aluminum. It includes a leather strap in the box, which seems a bit more business professional. AMOLED always on display. You can check the time just at a quick glance. The screen is 3D curved, so the edges slightly taper off, makes it very smooth and easy to tap with your fingers. It's rated to be 5 ATM for water resistance, meaning that you can take this to the shower, you can use it for swimming, and it will still survive. Paying a bit more attention to detail in terms of how it's put together and the way it feels usually sits north of $200. Otherwise, it has on the round version a 1.28-inch display. The square edition has a 1.6-inch screen, so a little bit larger there, along with the usual array of SpO2 blood oxygen monitoring, as well as the heart rate monitoring, intelligent sleep tracking throughout the day. You have a very shiny kind of ceramic-like finish to the back, as you can see there, and it also has about 7 days of battery life per charge in normal usage, which is pretty good, but you have to keep in mind that it's not quite as advanced as an Android Wear watch or a Apple Watch. Now, there are two things that the Zepp E series of smartwatches, both the round and the square, are missing, interestingly. One of them being there is no built-in GPS chip, which I do think is something they should have added. So if you want to track your route when running outdoors, you have to bring along your phone and use your phone's connected GPS to do that. It's not the biggest deal in the world, considering they're going more for a lifestyle-based, everyday wearable, but considering its price point, it would be good to, I think, include that chip, maybe in the next generation model. Weighs 36 grams, and here are all the additions that you can pick between. All of them sell at the same price. Now, the second slight omission on this model I want to mention is it doesn't have a built-in microphone, so you aren't able to use it with a voice assistant, for instance, or for answering your calls. So they're going for a really minimalistic type of product. So here's the packaging. It also looks a bit more fancy than some of the other Amazfit smartwatch boxes. It has some more accents on the sides, and then some of the specs here are reiterated again on the rear. Uses Bluetooth version 5.0. Just kind of unzip and slide out another internal box that says Zepp, inside of which we do have the Zepp E Circle presented right on top with the aforementioned leather strap. Underneath the watch itself, we do have access to the charging cable, which is actually still using a very similar system as the aforementioned Amazfit GTR2 and GTS2, as well as the BIP-U, simply attaching onto the back of the watch. In the second compartment, we have access to the quick user guide, pretty well documented, as well as what seems like a second assortment of straps, slightly different length depending on the size of your wrists, so they give you a bit of customization there, but both of these are still made out of the leather material. Moving the watch here, we can take a closer look at the design here on first impressions. It has a reassuring density to the build, although it is pretty slim and small, so it doesn't take up too much space on a wrist, doesn't get in the way of any activities that you're performing because of its low profile. And then we have just the kind of curved 3D glass here that they're using, pointing it at the light here. We can make it out along the edges a little bit more easily, and we have just a crown key here on the edge, and the stainless steel material wraps even along the back of the watch, as you can see there, which is super shiny and chrome-like, almost like a mirror. But when it's clean, it looks quite beautiful, and there's some branding that says stainless steel case, water resistance, and then we have the sensors here for the SpO2, blood oxygen, and for charging. The actual part that holds the watch strap, as you can see there, has a slight arm that is also made out of stainless steel. The sensor that they're using for the heart rate measurement and SpO2 are pretty much the same as on the aforementioned GTR2 and GTS2 under the Amazfit brand. It definitely feels like it's packaged with a bit more care, and next to the GTR2, you can see it's a little bit smaller in terms of its frame, and there's less kind of obvious tick marks around the screen, so it has more of a seamless kind of minimalistic design going on, and it's definitely going to be lighter as well as slimmer, as you can see there. And that's despite the fact that the GTR2 is already a relatively light and thin smartwatch compared to others like the, say, TicWatch Pro, which by contrast you can see next to the Zepp E just looks ridiculously huge. So turning on the watch, it will generate just a binding QR code that we can scan with the app to quickly pair it. The companion app, which again is called Zepp, is actually the same one that we've already been using with the other Amazfit smartwatches. You can hear there's also haptic vibrations on the device, so it will vibrate to give you notifications, even though it doesn't have a speaker built on in. So here we have just a quick tutorial on how to navigate the UI, which is again very similar to the Amazfit watches, and we can also see how to swipe left and right to interact with things, tap on the crown key to bring up the full list of applications, and also workouts. Again, it has just one crown button, which is one less compared to the GTR2 that has 2 keys. Here's what a notification looks like, telling us all the system updates that we just pushed over, supporting the more sports activities and whatnot. We can get rid of the notice there just by swiping over from the edge of the screen, and overall sensitivity here on first impression seems to be quite good. Buttons here are pretty tactile and responsive. Long hold for a few seconds to change the watch face or watch dial, and there are a few custom ones that it comes with more options available, of course, via the Zepp companion app. Brightness here on first impressions also seems to be pretty decent, even though we are pointing it at relatively bright light sources. Now if we tap on the button down below here, we can also customize different elements of the watch dials, such as if we want to display, say, the humidity, UV level, calories burned, battery. Swiping over, we can take a look at our PI score, which is the consolidated health score out of 100 that will take into account your heart rate, your different sleep, as well as your stress levels, and give you a health metric that is in one number. We can also take a look at our weather for the current day, as well as sunrise, sunset times, and also weather conditions for the next few days ahead. In fact, the next week is populated below, very similar to the Amazfit smartwatches we've seen. Overall, it feels pretty smooth as we're swiping along. You can also control the music playing back from your phone, although the watch doesn't have any built-in storage for music, so you aren't able to store songs directly on here like an MP3 player, but when you're connected, you're able to still use it like a remote control. Overall, the design is really attractive, and also fluidity is quite good in terms of responsiveness of using the watch here on first impressions. And we can also swipe down to access a quick shortcut drawer that can activate a flashlight that turns the entire display white to illuminate things in the dark. You can see the bezels here a bit more clearly, so it's not completely edge to edge, but because of the AMOLED nature of the screen, it almost blends in to the background there. And then tap on the crown key here once to bring up the full list of apps, and everything again feels quite good in terms of the frame rate, and the responsiveness is keeping up very well. There's some special additions here, including a alarm that you can set, as well as other events that you can take a look at. Long hold on the crown key for a few seconds, and that will bring this up where we can jump into things like running, walking, cycling, swimming, so on and so forth. So you'll be able to find the activities you want to take a look at, and during a session it will track your continuous heart rate, your calories burned, number of steps, and taking a quick peek at the store where you can find additional watch faces to push over. All of these are free, categorized under different genres and designs, and you can also create custom backgrounds just like the Amazfit branded watches, so you can set your own photo as the background image if you want to send one over. Pretty elegant. Some of them are very modern looking, others which have more of a sporty look, and if you enjoy what you find, again, you can simply push it over to the memory of the watch. So it definitely feels a bit more luxurious in terms of the craftsmanship. It's a bit more thought out in terms of the fit and finish of the watch, but whether that's going to justify the slightly more expensive price and also a feature set that is not the richest on the market is going to be really up to you, and we'll be exploring that further in our full review after testing out the watch for a few more days. So be sure to stay tuned for that coming soon. But for now, that's been just our first impressions unboxing look, mostly at the design and the initial setup of the Zepp E series. This is the Circle edition of the stylish smartwatch.